Hello YouTube, I have a very special revolver for you today that I'm sure you have never ever seen in action before. The Kerr revolver was manufactured in England by the London Armoury Company, and it was imported by the Confederacy with the help of blockade runners. About 7,000 of these revolvers were sold to the Confederate Army. The gun is often mistaken as a double-action revolver, but in fact it's a single-action one, although you can rotate the cylinder with the pull of the trigger, and also you can rotate the cylinder with the pull of the hammer. But to fire the gun, you have to cock the hammer manually before each shot, like on the Colt or Remington revolvers. But before going into the technical details, let's check the history of this gun. You're watching Cap and Ball TV, and this is Balázs Németh.
James Kerr established the London Armoury Company with his cousin Robert Adams, inventor of the famous Adams double-action revolvers. The company started manufacturing Enfield pattern rifle muskets and Adams revolvers in 1856. In 1859, the board of the company decided to mainly produce rifle muskets, so Adams left the LAC and took his patents with him. This was the time when Kerr patented his own design to keep the revolvers in the assortment of the company. Adams also remained in business as a competitor of LAC and cleverly seized the British market. However, the outbreak of the Civil War offered great possibilities for Kerr. His strong and reliable revolver was a valuable product for the South. Agents like Caleb Hughes bought around 7,000 revolvers for the Confederacy. The guns were shipped to southern ports with the help of blockade runners. Some sources say that the Union also purchased around 1,600 pieces. Kerr was convinced that his revolver is better than the Adams double actions. His points were the following ones. First, the traditional back-action lock is easy to repair and clean on the field. Second, the action is completely sealed from residue and percussion cap particles. Third, a shield is protecting the caps and the nipples. Fourth, the frame and the barrel are separate parts so they can receive different hardening. Fifth, the loading lever is under the barrel, not on the side, and it is held more secure than on the Adams revolvers. Sixth, the gun is more simple and strong. Kerr patented his revolver in 1863 in the US as well. The London Armoury Company did not survive long after the Civil War. The fall of the Confederacy meant they lost their best partners. Kerr continued to assemble some revolvers after the company was closed, but the patent was sold to a Spanish company in Eibar. It is said that the revolvers with the serials between 1,600 and 10,500 were sold to the southern states. The serial of the gun is visible after the Kerr's patent script on the frame. These numbers do not indicate the patent number, as some sources usually say. This revolver was proved in London, and interestingly, these proof marks are still accepted as official black powder proof marks by CIP. The serial is also visible on the cylinder. The barrel also has the black powder proof marks and the LAC letters indicating London Armoury Company. The rear sight is a huge V shape on the top of the frame, while the front sight is a silver bead. The barrel has 5 grooves and a progressive twist, as on other contemporary revolvers. I slugged the bore to check the exact diameter of this so-called 54-bore revolver. I measured 0.442 inches between the lands and 0.452-453 inches between the grooves. A 4.54 round ball or even a 4.51 bullet will work well with this rifling. The removal of the cylinder axis is also a unique solution on this gun. A small spring pin was holding the axis in its place that is already missing from this piece. By pulling out the axis, the cylinder falls out of the frame. The axis is protected from the black powder residue by a small protruding shield. The barrel and the receiver are separate parts, so the barrel could receive a special case tampering to make it stronger. The powder chambers of the Kerr are somewhat smaller than the Colt and Remington 44 caliber revolvers. I measured 0.5 cm less depth on the British revolver. One of the best features of this gun is the lock mechanism. The plate is held in place by 2 screws, one in the frame and one in the grip. After removing them, the complete lock is separated from the rest of the gun. The lock itself is nothing more than an ordinary back-action side lock, same as on single-shot percussion arms, with mainspring, sear, and tumbler with 2 notches. The hand and the cylinder stop are in direct contact with the trigger. The connection between the hammer and the hand is secured by a small hook. This little part is in connection with the pin on the tumbler. It is easy to understand this function if we remove the grip. The opening on the frame under the loading lever is very small. This is indicating that the cartridge must be pushed completely into the chamber by the force of the thumb. The loading lever is held in place by a strong locking mechanism, grabbing the rod from the left and from the right. This solid frame revolver has only one small opening for the hammer in the back of the frame. The opening is so small that it is nearly impossible for the percussion cap particles to fall into the action.
Okay, so this was the theory. Now let's go to the range and see how this old lady shoots.
I followed the same loading sequence as usual. I used 4.51 round balls and 3F Swiss charges starting from 15 grains. I used cornwet filler to have the ball near the mouth of the chamber. The chambers do not size the bullet. It was not hard to push down the round ball. I tried several loads, but the best group was achieved with 21 grains of powder plus 15 grains of cornwet. And there you go, we are ready to fire finally. The grip is comfortable and the recoil is gentle. I have shot better groups with other revolvers, but this 9-ring group at 25 meter is absolutely not bad. I am sure that it can be improved with a better bullet. The revolver is shooting extremely high, so I had to aim 60 centimeters below the target to have the bullets just above the black area. But now let's see how the car performs in offhand shooting.
I fired 50 shots with this gun, and James Kerr was right, because the spent cap particles did not jam the action. But if he was right completely, there must not be any residue under the lock plate. So let's check it now.
So I removed the lock again, and I was amazed. The lock was as clean as it was before the target practice.
This revolver is strong and reliable, just as good as other solid frame revolvers of the Civil War era. It is comfortable to shoot. Even with high charges, the recoil is absolutely manageable. Its only weakness, I think, it is a side picture, but maybe that's only my opinion. Otherwise, this gun is a great fun to shoot.